You see, what you do with life's lemons could be a passport, taking you from ordinary to extraordinary, from tragedy to triumph, from being a victim to being the victor. When life gives you lemons, don't just make lemonade. That's what average people do. When life gives you lemons, imagine you're going on a trip. You're going to the beautiful island of St. Lucia, majestic island. You're all planned. You're excited about this trip. You're looking forward to it. You're so excited, you get to the airport, you're on the plane, and you even pass out because you're just so tired. As you arrive at your destination, you realize it's colder than you'd expect. All of a sudden, you deplane and realize you did not end up where you were expecting to be. Someone like this. In your discombobulation, you decide not to play the most common game or the first game known to man, which is the blame game. You know that game where a man blamed a woman blamed a serpent, and the serpent didn't have a leg to stand on, according to Zig Ziglar. This vacation, if you will, is costly. How costly? $1.5 trillion. Yes, $1 trillion vacation. You see, this $1 trillion vacation is happening even today. Students are graduating. They're being sold on a concept of go to college. It's going to be the best 4 years of your life. In some cases, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, 8 years. But they're told that this is going to be the best thing for you. And they graduate unprepared and unequipped for what lies ahead. So $1.5 trillion, that is the amount of student loan debt we have in this economy today. So what do we do? What are the effects of this student debt crisis, of this $1 trillion vacation? Have you ever been chased by a dog? I have. I was chased by a dog named Fire. And as Fire chased me, I did my best Usain Bolt impersonation. However, I didn't get very far. And Fire caught me, and he left a hole in my pants. For most students today who graduate with a tremendous amount of debt, they find themselves being chased by this avalanche of debt. Now, while most of them won't have any holes in their pants, they're likely to have holes in their pockets because they're settling for underemployment, the first job they could find just to try to make these payments. Another effect of this student debt crisis or $1 trillion vacation, as I call it, is that we're seeing renters, the percentage of renters, at an all-time high. What this means is people are putting off home ownership because they're carrying so much student debt. They're putting off what happens to be one of the strongest vehicles for increasing their net worth because of this debt that they're working with right now. Another reason for, or effect rather, of the situation is that families are holding off having children. They're saying, let's wait a few more years before having a family because we have all this debt. Could you imagine the effect of this? Imagine the next Einstein isn't being born because the parents feel like they can't afford to have a child. Imagine the next Steve Jobs, the next Mark Zuckerberg, the next Jeff Bezos, unable to come into this earth and benefit the next generation because his parents or her parents can't do it. Now, when it comes to Jeff Bezos, hopefully the next Jeff Bezos will actually pay his taxes. That would be pretty good. So, I will try to read your minds. I know what you're thinking, I think. Why is a young man with an accent talking about a student debt crisis or $1 trillion vacation? You see, I was in paradise. This island, St. Lucia, I mentioned, that was my home. So I had a personal encounter, an unplanned one, with this student debt crisis. This was my home, and I divorced paradise in pursuit of the American dream, but found myself married to the American debt. Thankfully, the union was only as long as a typical Kardashian marriage. So I left home. I decided to go to Grambling State University, which, according to Miss Beyonce Carter, is the best college in the world. I went to Grambling State University in pursuit of a math degree, and I was initially offered a full scholarship. What I did not know, however, is the fact that the scholarship criteria changed. So I found myself having to get debt, even though I didn't want to. I was crushed. But in that crushing process, I said to myself, I will find a way. I will seek every opportunity possible. I will seek internships. I will seek scholarships. I will seek everything I can do to avoid going into serious debt. Unfortunately, I still have to get some debt. So I did get a student loan, but I was driven. I call it my moment when I decided I'm going for it. By the end of my freshman year, I found myself having multiple jobs for the summer and jobs upon jobs throughout my entire undergraduate and even graduate tenure. It got so interesting, I was actually passing off jobs to others because I didn't have time or the resources to do it myself. I also realized something, which I call my aha moment. I realized I had a unique skill set. I learned how to find opportunities. Now, me being a foreigner, opportunities for scholarships and internships were a lot less than for most other nationals. So what I decided to do was to use what I found and share with others so that they could also benefit from what I've discovered. We've all been dealt lemons. And for me, that was one of the biggest set of lemons I'd ever received in my life. And we all know what they say, or what you should do when life deals you lemons. I think we all know it. So, while it's not inaccurate, I do believe it's incomplete. You see, what you do with life's lemons could be a passport, taking you from ordinary to extraordinary, from tragedy to triumph, from being a victim to being the victor. What you do with lemons. So what should we do with life's lemons? What should we do with life's lemons? You see, when life gives you lemons, don't just make lemonade. That's what average people do. When life gives you lemons, make a lemonade stand. You see, if you make lemonade, only your family and those close to you are going to benefit. When you make a lemonade stand, people you would have never otherwise met get to benefit from the fruit of your labor. They get to benefit from what you've been through and what you've put together. When you make a lemonade stand, people will seek you out. They'll find you because of what value you bring to their lives and to the world.